Push record.
Well, thank you, sister. Thank you. So, recording in progress right now. That reading that I just did, that's something that the mothers gave me to write when I realized what was going on with building this house. So I have that on video, or if somebody wants a copy of that, you can holler at me about that. So let's get to this slideshow. Let me know if y'all see my screen. Where is, that's the group. Wait, can y'all still see my screen?
Not anymore.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I clicked out of it. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so y'all see it now, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. All right, this is the House of Iyami Aj, official open house workshop. Come on. See, I don't like this. I'm trying to get to the, there we go. That's what I needed to do. Okay, so we're gonna start here. Y'all saw that the one video I did was reading the back. We're talking about the Sibyls. African women are the only women in the world who were not born under the yoke of patriarchy. Come on. I'm trying to make this screen bigger, y'all, but I don't want to mess around and click out of it like I did. Over, so there we go. Okay. African women are the only women in the world who were not born under the yoke of patriarchy. During ancient times, for the first 6,000 years, Africa was ruled by a powerful order of matriarchs. Considering the current status of the African women around the world today, one could hardly be convinced that her matriarchal presence and the enormous influence she wielded in the ancient world had far exceeded the limited physical, cultural, geographical, and political destinations of which Africa and her religions are confined today. During her reign, African religions had reached very high levels of theological and ritual development and were the original spiritual home of the world's first great oracles, prophetesses, and prophets. Under the rising of African patriarchy, the sacerdotal order of Sibyls were sold as slaves to build and work the powerful oracles they established in ancient Greece, Rome, Turkey, and Babylon. What is now currently the holy seat of the Vatican in Italy was originally the sacerdotal seats of these ancient Black Sibyl queen mothers. That's right, y'all. The Pope, excuse my language, ain't shit. He is sitting in a seat that does not belong to him, and he will be uprooted soon. That beautiful Vatican, that was our ancient mothers. And every time I look at it, it just pisses me off to know, that the true bloodlines that are supposed to be on that throne are not, and the travesty that we have today, sits there. The abomination that makes desolate is sitting on the throne. That's what that is. It says what is now the current holy seat of the Vatican in Italy was originally the sacerdotal seat of these ancient Black Sibyl queen mothers. Centuries before Christ, they were known to heal the sick, restore dignity and strength to the weak, and restore sight to the blind. They were famous for curing lameness, epileptics, deaf mutes, and lepers. They were said to cast out demons and even raise up the dead. Their prophecies are the oldest and most authentic in the world. They were the basis for Greek and Roman tragedies and plays. More astonishing, their prophetic books were later collected by Roman authorities who needed a Western theological foundation in order to compete with the extremely powerful Levitical Jews. These Sybil prophecies soon became the sole and undisputed precursor to the Western Bible. As the first established sacerdotal African matriarchs, the Sibyl's culture and religious impact was arguably the most profound on ancient civilization than modern history has ever revealed or cares to admit. From Mesopotamia to Libya, to Mitzrayim, Kemet, Egypt, Iona, Minona, Peloponnese, Turkey, and Mycenae, or Greece, and later Rome, the Sibyls were the primary divine Vatican and absolute moral authority. The absence of African women's contribution in world history as major economic, political, and spiritual players, as opposed to exceptions to the norm or mere appendages of great men, has been problematic and disturbing at best. For the first time ever, her real history is being unearthed, revealed, and told. And in this telling, many shocking revelations that remain hidden for more than 2,000 years will finally be revealed. And that's where we are. She said a mouthful in the back of that book, a mouthful, when it talks about, Black women being moral authority, and all the sisters, being able to relate to the Sibyls. This is why, even though you left the church, you still couldn't leave, quote unquote, God. This is why you felt the need to come out of her, my people, but yet that didn't mean that you were ending your spiritual journey, because there was something in you, a time clock clicked, in your DNA, that one, cell ignited, and then you woke up, and then you realized, or you had the strength to be able to walk away and follow that voice within you that was letting you know that this ain't what it is. We talk about in consciousness. Most of you, I'm sure you heard, they plagiarized it, or they stole it from us, and then they throw the whole book away. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They plagiarized it. They didn't make it up. Don't give them that much credit, because they're not that brilliant. They didn't make it up. They plagiarized it. So if they plagiarized it, then that means that some things are true. You have to do what 2 Timothy 2:15 says, which is study to show thine own self approved, a workman unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth, that you need not be ashamed. But they told you in the church that the whole Bible was the word of truth. But why I tell you in the Bible to rightly divide? What does that mean? It means to interpret it properly. So we're not supposed to throw the whole thing away. We're supposed to be able to eventually be able to decipher it and interpret it properly, and see the science hidden in, see the metaphysics, see the ritual hidden therein. It was hid for you, not from you, so that you can seek, have the desire to seek. And what they tell you, if you seek, you're going to find it. And that's where we all are. This is a particular excerpt from the book. It says a typical preemptive threat employed by the Warren Christians and Jewish sects, both of whom were widely disseminated, corrupted, and altered Sybil texts. One of the main issues of contention in establishing Levitical and Christian legitimacy was in changing the name Ixhausa, whom the Sybil stated would be the next savior, and replacing it with either that of Jesus or Yahweh or Jehovah. Ixhausa appears to be an Afro-Chaldean name similar to Xisuthros, the mommy fish deity, later known as Oans. And we're going to find out who Oans was. So we hear, the J, there was no J in the language and all of that. And that wasn't his name and all of that. And they say, his name was Yeshua. It was that. Well, if you go back further than that, in this particular excerpt, we know we got Jehovah Witnesses and all of that. I remember in church, we used to sing a song, his name is Yahweh, not knowing that. And then she tells you in other parts of this book that when the patriarchy split from the matriarchy, they erected the god Jehovah, a lesser deity than mommy, than the great mother. They erected that deity in the place as an insult to the true goddess. So when we got this, when they talk about its power in the name of Jesus, or people get caught up because they may have prayed in the name of Jesus and had something manifest, it's not the name. Has nothing to do with the name. Even in that book, it says, let it be according to the power that worketh within you. So it has always been the power that worketh within you, whether you prayed it in the name of Jesus or in the name of Allah or in the name of your dog or in the name of a frog. If you believe it enough, it's going to manifest. But this is where they changed. We see that they changed this name. It's Hausa, and Hausa, Housa, is a Yoruba tribe. It is a tribe, the name of a tribe out of Nigeria. That's a whole nother story and a whole nother can of worms. But so when we talk about, and I'm sure somebody must have dropped off. I'm sure all of us that are on this path, we've come across that, the J didn't come into the language. So here's a bit more of information, that you can put in your canon of knowledge, because that before they changed the Sybil text, that word Jesus, that character of Jesus, it wasn't even in there. It wasn't even in there. That is a creation of the Nicene Council. If you don't know about it, Google the Ninth Council of Nicaea and start your search on that. You can't. Okay, y'all want to start the shenanigans? Wow. Wow, y'all see that? They do it every time. How you couldn't play this file when I went through all of this stuff earlier and the files were playing? No, you a lie. Wow, this is deep, y'all. They don't even want to show it. They mad. Okay, let me try this. I'm going to unshare and then share it again. Okay. Okay, we got to do it like this, and this is how we're going to do it. So it says the church's persecution did not stop there. Centuries later, backed by the church's blessings and money, millions of Africans were unwillingly transported across the great oceans and enslaved to lay the economic and cultural foundation of quote unquote New Rome in the Americas. An untold number of Africans in the New World are the blood descendants of those ancient serpent worshiping matrilineal descendants long ago scattered throughout all four corners of the world during the transatlantic voyages. Calls them serpent worshiping. Now we know in the same way they demonized the woman in the Bible, they also demonized the serpent. But when as you study on this path, you realize that the serpent energy is connected to the Kundalini energy that goes up the spine, which is connected to the process of awakening. So even when they changed and did these different things, they demonized certain things to keep you from them, but then they turned around and stole them and used them to enslave you and to enslave a whole world and to keep you bound. But they got you scared of it, calling it evil. It says in the New World, the demonization of both African presence and their religion still continues unabated. We know it still go on. You talk about voodoo, that's the devil. Anything African, so many Black people are so scared of it. Why? Why? Clearly it was done on purpose. Since today, few continental Africans or those in diaspora hardly make the historical connection between the current status of African women and their ancient religions. What that means is that her current status is the way she is because she's not connected to her ancient religions. And in her ancient religions, she is the face of God on earth. She is the only true voice of God on earth. The Black woman, this was her place. This what was coveted. And the patriarchy conspired with the papacy to bring her down because they coveted her place. Same way today, we seen like a lot of y'all saw the live I did about, Kevin Samuels, with all the stuff that he talked about the Black woman, with how he did her still jealous of her power, jealous of who she is, envious of her. That's it. All that was envy. Same thing, nothing new under the sun. Same thing that it was in ancient times. That's what it was, to the point to where he was willing to abase her. He abased her. He took her off the throne in his mind. He dethroned her and treated her like she's been treated, since she's been sold into slavery and been enslaved. It says, both having been relegated to an inferior status and a low economic and cultural priority by its fiercely patriarchal governments. That's what they did to us. That's who we are as a whole today. Of course, there are individual Black women that, don't quote unquote fit the bill, but as a whole, we still do. The Black woman is not respected. The Black woman is hated. She's the most mimicked. The whole world admires and worships her in secret. But in public, she's the most hated. She's the most disrespected. She's the most unprotected of all women. It says, not to mention that only one country in all of Africa, which is Benin, my roots go there too, actually recognizes ancient religion. Voodoo establishes first by their ancient mothers as its country's national religion. Benin is the only one left. Can you believe that? So, and I've had people say, oh, well, they Christian in Africa, they Muslim in Africa. That came later. Islam has only been around for 800 years. And we're going to talk about that later, when it came around and why it came around. But colonization did not skip Africa. In fact, majority of it started there. So when a person tells you, oh, well, they Christian in Africa, yeah, because it was beat into them over there, it was forced upon them. Colonization did not miss Africa. In fact, that's where it started. But Benin is the only country. Voodoo is their national religion. They reverence Mami Wata. They deal, in these sciences, and it's the national religion. It's sad. And I think is how many countries is it in Africa? Some 50 something, 54, I think. But only one, as big as it is, only one. It says the Dogon, Ewe, Akan, Masi, Mendez, and other African clans who trace their ancient ancestral roots back to ancient Nubia, Egypt, Ethiopia, and other locations still possess the knowledge of the sacred rites, of which the church has never been successful at completely eradicating. Now, a lot of people don't know that when you got these mega evangelists and these tele-evangelists, like there's this one lady on TikTok, Catherine Crick. Some of y'all may have came across her stuff, she be having quote unquote deliverance sessions and all that, and people are all falling out and all of that. And I've been in those services as a child, but it just recently, her main page recently got took down because it came out that her spiritual father is some controversial man over in Africa who practices Ifa. A majority of these priests and all of that who have any kind of spiritual power, they didn't just go through ordination and get it. They went to Africa and got initiated into one of these spiritual systems. And then they came over here and called it Jesus, because they have taught the world not to accept it in its pure form, but people will be willing to accept it when you call it Jesus and when you call it church. Think about it. If somebody came up to you right now and could tell you something or could touch you and your whole body, or whatever, and they didn't call themselves a Christian, touch you and your whole body would heal. You're programmed to, if they come looking like me, dressed like me, you're programmed to think that they devil worshiping, when they actually the closest thing to God than them people in them pulpits. When we think about the different things that we see in the Bible, there's magic and ritual all throughout the Bible. Matter of fact, hold on. I think it's this one. But I got a book that here's one chapter where it says Bible verses to use with your with your spiritual spells. There are certain spells, like there's certain verses, like there's one in Psalms. If you want somebody removed from a group, you fix your ritual and you recite that Bible verse. I've had to use that. It works, but all of these different I'm gonna find that chapter at the end and show it to y'all. Just go over a few of them. But all of these different, priests and stuff like that, they go to Africa to get initiated, into spiritual systems so that they can have some kind of true power. It says in West Africa, the priestesshoods of the Sibyls, now known as Mami or Mami Isis or Mama Isis, they're called priestess of Isis, and of those of the Amenganzis are called those who raise the dead, or those who can call up the dead, still continue unabated with their serpent worshiping. Sibs of the Yeve Voodoo and elsewhere. So, it's telling you that they still operate in that. There is one ritual in order to become an Amengazi, and Mama Zogby has a part of this ritual, her initiation, where they have to be buried for 3 days, and then that's a part of the ritual into becoming an Amengazi. I don't think they actually bury them in a coffin, but it's an actual ritual that they do to simulate the burial. But when you have the title of Amenganzi, it means that you can call up the dead. There was a story in the Bible about, I believe it was starts with an S. I know it wasn't Solomon. Was it Samuel? When he went to that woman to see if he was gonna win that battle, and they had him summons the spirit of I want to say the spirit of Samuel. Correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all probably know the story. And told him that he was going to die that day. But all of these different things are talking about ancient sciences. He went to this. If you go reading about, he went to a woman. He went to a witch doctor. He went to a witch doctor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Scared for his life.
Say that again.
I said, yes, ma'am. Scared for his life.
Okay.
When he sought that lady out in the nighttime.
Okay. I say. So let's go on to the next slide. Since we got to do it like this, since they think they slick. Where there's a will, there's a way. Must have got kicked out, sis. Okay, so this is a picture from the book too. It says Sibyl Queen on Moor coat of arms, wearing 6-pointed crown of Mommy Tanit. Mute your phone, please, Nick's sorcery.
Okay, sorry.
It says Sibyl Queen on Moor coat of arms, wearing 6-pointed crown of Mommy Tanit. All African queens were Sibyls, but not all Sibyls were queens or prophetesses. Say that again. All African queens were Sibyls, but not all Sibyls were queens or prophetesses. I've seen Moors share this particular picture without the writing, but they be like, just to try to promote their school of thought. They'll be like Moorish woman or Moorish queen who England was named about. And I just look and I keep right on scrolling. That is a Sibyl. It is a depiction of a Sibyl, of the ancient mothers. They may not know it, and some of them do know it, but to go along with the fact that they did what they did and continue to suppress the Black woman, some of them just won't dare tell you that that's what it is. But anytime you see that picture, I know this one organization that I was involved with, they had that in they flag, they had that picture at the top. And even in that organization didn't tell me that it was a Sibyl. I had to go find that on my own. And when I came across this book and saw that picture, I was like, wow, think you can trust somebody. And it was a Black organization. But keep forgetting. here in this slide, it's talking about, and I'm sure some of you, because I've seen it going around, and I'm not gonna say I'm the one who, I'm not gonna say I'm the one who started it, but I know that I didn't see it floating around until I had shared it in this group. But I'm sure some of you sisters who practice, God, can I move this whole thing? Because I don't like that it's at the top. And yes, okay, thank you, good. So, have any of y'all ever been in any witch groups and saw somebody talking about bay leaf magic and all of that, but they can't tell you why it worked, or even they don't know where they got it from. They just saw somebody else put it or whatever. But the reason that is because the Daphne tree is the bay laurel tree where the bay leaf comes from. It's this picture right here. It says Monastery of a Sibyl at Daphne, or sacred, means sacred to the sun. Once sacred, it was destroyed in the 6th century in a church dedicated to, quote unquote, the Virgin. It says above, named after a location in ancient Egypt, the Taphni or Daphne tree, meaning sacred to the sun, was later known as the bay laurel. It was holy to Mami and represented her son consort. It was chewed by her initiated priestesses, especially the Sibyls. The Cumaean Sibyl in Rome was said to have written her 9 books of prophecy on bay laurel leaves and placed them in front of her shrine for spirits to scatter them into the order of prediction. As with most consecrated shrines in Africa, this temple is probably where all initiations, healings, divinations, rites of passage, ancestral ceremonies, and other African rituals took place. Most of the ancient temples to the African goddesses were seized, desecrated, pillaged, and its structures converted into Christian churches, along with its customs and rituals incorporated into Christian rites. So when those of y'all who have seen it, talking about writing on the bay leaf and burn it and all that, but don't nobody know why it works. It works because that's been sacred for years, and it was sacred to our ancient mothers. It was used in prophecy and magic. It's been used, it's been sacred, this tree, for years upon years upon years. In the reading that we did, I called out the names of the Sibyls. We're going to talk about, and they're all in the book. Like I said, I'm not going to show too many slides from the book, out of respect of the Queen Mother's creation and what she did for us. Go get the book. You can read the first 30 pages on Google Books right now, today. Just go to Google Books and type in the Sibyl's First Prophetess to Mami Watcher, and you can read the first 30 pages for free while you wait to get your book. But this Sibyl, Herophile, and it was said in here, in other parts of the book, that she's the one who wrote the book of Revelation. It wasn't no John. There were no Johns. There was no John the Revelator. Same way they told you that they stole all their prophecies. It's the basis of the Christian Bible. Revelation was written by Herophile. It says her name, meaning dear initiated, to the Mami goddess Hera. Herophile is claimed to be from a province in Asia Minor, Turkey, known as Kume. She was known by several names: Almathea, Feminina, Herophila, and Europa, from which Europe derives its name. Europe, is, if you didn't know it, is named after an African Sibyl named Europa, or Herophile. It says she was also known as Demophile and Demo. However, some historians suspect these to be names of other Sibyls. Kume is also claimed to be the Palestinian Sabe, or Cushite Black Sibyl. She's one of the oldest and first of the 2, quote unquote, black doves, claiming to be the daughter or daughter-in-law of Oans, whom they actually call I don't know how to pronounce that, or Iowa, which don't they look like Loa, for those of y'all who know who the Loa are, and present day Noah. So that's right, people. Noah wasn't even a man. When they changed and when they did all this, they changed the genders, they changed the name. Noah was not a man. It says Kume was a high priestess of the Mami deity Hera, meaning lady or protectress, who under African patriarchy was later paired with as the sister wife of the thunder god Zeus. They told you how they got the name Jesus, Jesus. That's how you say it in Spanish, Jesus or Jesus or Hail Zeus. And they paired her, it says, later paired as the sister wife of the thunder god Zeus. Kume lived in a cave during the time of Roman Tarquin the Elder. So this is where the book of Revelation comes from. That queen mother. What I do? And then we have this one. Priscilla and Maximilian. Have y'all ever heard the name Maximilian? But Priscilla, I know y'all all have. I have a friend from back in the day named Priscilla. Says these last two symbols are actually, oh, let me back up. When I was talking about the black doves, these symbols are known as the black doves. Before the symbol of the Holy Spirit was a white dove, they were black. And with the whitewashing of everything in history, they whitewashed that too. So when we talked about, let me see if it'll let me go back. When we talk about Herstory, it told you that she was one of the first ones that was considered a black dove. One of the first ones. So let's look at Priscilla. It says these last two symbols are actually the ancient African foremothers and father to the modern day Black charismatic Baptists and Pentecostals. These two ladies are actually what they based, how those denominations got started, because it is they, along with the priest named Montanus, all natives of Phrygia, now Western Turkey, who first learned to adapt African spirits to the forced Western Christian paradigm in mid-2nd century CE, because the Roman Imperial Church decided that after the ascension of Christ, the age of apostles and the age of prophecy was over. They decided that. And they'll tell you that too, even till this day. It says they violently suppressed all African prophetic voices, especially those of Sybil priestesses. This group, as did other Africans, were still being born and called by their divinities, and thus founded the New Prophecy movement, in which to voice their divine utterances, although dubbed as Christian heresy by Roman Imperial Church, Montanus and the Sybil priestesses, undeterred, forged ahead. Now, Priscilla is also in the Bible. We're going to look at what the Bible says about her. Oh, finally, it's back on. Now I can click on it. Okay. It says, and this is Acts 18:26. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the part that's highlighted. But this is talking about, let me go ahead and read. After he had spent some time there, he departed and went over. I believe this is Paul we're talking about. And a certain Jew, in order strengthening all the disciples, and a certain Jew named Apollos, born in Alexandria. Now we know the library at Alexandria is what they so-called burned, where they got all the secrets. They ain't burned it, they got it in the papacy right now in the Vatican. But it says, and a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only of the baptism of John. Okay. And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla, it was her husband, had heard, they took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly. So we talking about Aquila and Priscilla, which some of y'all who was raised in church probably ain't never even known they was in the Bible, probably ain't never even heard of it. But look what it said. It said that when they saw him, that they expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly. Expounded. What does expounded mean? It says to present and explain systematically and in detail. Explain the meaning of. So if Aquila and Priscilla, who this one they talking about, this man was so well instructed, but they had to go expound upon or show him, you know what I'm saying, teach him a more profound way. And it tells you, just told you that this is where the Baptists and the Pentecostals denominations come from. So why we don't hear Priscilla, Why they ain't honoring Priscilla? Why we talking about Paul and all these others when Priscilla, and even on a deeper note, when we look at based on what the Bible says, their story, when we look at the resurrection, the first one to see him resurrected was Mary. So the church was started on Mary. The church was started on Priscilla, but we got all these males. Why? Because this is what they changed in order to completely remove the science of you, Black woman, from the scriptures and from just even the Godhead, period. So let's look at her name, Priscilla. It means venerable and ancient. Think about that. The ancient Sibyls. Her name means venerable or worthy to be worshiped, and ancient, classical. So there's a lot in the name. And as you go in your studies, sisters, you are going to see that, especially when you're deciphering the Bible. And this is one thing that we learn, in the house. And when I do my teachings in my podcast, I break down, I go look up the meaning of these names and certain words and stuff, because it was hidden, and it's telling you, it's hiding, it's telling you a deeper science if you could just decipher it. But so, and when I do my podcast, that's what I do. I'm gonna go look up, we're gonna look up the name, we're gonna look up the meaning, we're gonna look up the etymology, we're gonna do all of that. That's how we study. And I'm going, okay, no. Yeah, we're gonna cover these last parts, and then we're gonna take our break. Even in the Bible, when I shared those videos, there were so many women and men who commented, was talking about Deborah in the Bible. And I did a poem, I have it on my TikTok, where I talk about Deborah. But we're going to look at Deborah, and we're going to see why Deborah is even, show you how they hid who she was in the Bible too. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. Again, all through this Bible, it's talking about the children of Israel doing evil, Well, we know we the true sons of God, so we know our people be messing up, okay? So the children of Israel did evil inside of the Lord again. It says, and the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. They was in bondage for 20 years. And Deborah, a prophetess. Now the book is called The Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata. It says, and Deborah, a prophetess, wife of Lapidoth. She judged Israel at the time. Told you in the back of the book that they were judges and prophetesses. And they told you that's what the Sibyls were. So here we have Deborah, a prophetess, being a judge right there. But it gets deeper. And she dwelt under the palm tree. Even that's symbolic, but I'm not going to get in that. Between palm tree of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel and Mount Ephraim, and the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. So they go to seek her, because she the prophet, she the voice, the only true voice of God on earth, Deborah. So she was a Black woman. It says, and she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali. That's a whole lot that we missing, that we could break down, but for time's sake, I ain't got time to break it all down. But it says, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto them, hath not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the tribe of Naphtali, and 10,000 men of the tribe unto Zebulun, and I will draw unto thee the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver them into thine hand. He's saying, didn't God tell you that? She said, didn't God tell you to go do that? To go get 10,000 men and go there so you can be out of this? Why are you coming to me asking me this? How long you gonna be enslaved when you already got the word that you can beat them? Don't matter what they got, you can beat them. What did he say? Now, this is key, because she said, hath not God him herself had already told him, you got it beat. Somebody ain't on mute. You got this, you win this. And Barak said, if you go with me, then I'll go. But if you, Deborah, if you won't go with me, if thou will not go with me, then I will not go. Come on now. You already told you got the victory, but who did you need? You needed a symbol. You needed the presence of God on earth beside you. If that don't tell you who she was, this is really fixing to tell you. Let's look at this. Now, when we say the name Deborah, what's short? How do we shorten the name Deborah? Her name is Debbie, right? We would call her a Debbie or Debbie or the bee. Interestingly enough, Deborah's name means bee. Now, we always talk about the queen bee. Her name means bee. And then let's take it a step deeper. Let's go here. Let's look at this hieroglyph depiction of this bee in stone. Why? What does it symbolize? Here it is again. Two bees with the wheat shaft, with the ankh in the middle. These are actual hieroglyphs, y'all. Why? What does the bee symbolize? Here's another. The bee. Debbie. Deborah. Debbie. The bee. So what does it symbolize? Oh, now this is an excerpt from a book that I have called A Comparison of Ancient Hebrew Hieroglyphs to that of the Egyptians. And it tells you in this book that the ancient Hebrews, they always talk about, oh, Hebrew, it was written in Hebrew. No, the first Bible was written in hieroglyphs, but that's another story. But the first, those Bible stories was written in stone in the chamber of Teti is where the first recording of this so-called virgin birth that they altered. But let's look at the hieroglyphic meaning of the bee. It wasn't until I got this book and read this and seen the symbolism of these different hieroglyphs. And then when you go to the Bible and you look at, oh, and it said the feet was a bear and this, and they talking about all these animals. When you go look up the real meaning of it, you really see what they're talking about. So the bee, it says the bee was a symbol of an obedient people. Says Horapolo, it alone of all animals had a king. It says Champollion gives to the bee the signification king of an obedient people, right? That's what the bee signifies. Now, king of an obedient people, we say, well, oh, Deborah is a woman. But then I'm sure some of you sisters know and have come across the information that there were African women who held the title of king. Hatshepsut, she was called the queen who was king. So even in ancient times, women could hold the title of king. Men couldn't hold the title of queen, but women held the title of king. Says here, the Abydos said, this is another excerpt from that book, the next page from what I just read. The Abydos tablet shows numerous examples of the use of this sign and confirms the meaning attributed to it. The Hebrew name of B is this, and you see that? D-B-U-R-E. Now, in ancient Hebrew, there were no vowels. So if you take out that vowel, that's Deborah or Deborah. Signifies to administer, to govern, to put in order, to act like a swarm of bees. The same root DBR, Deborah, has the further meaning of discourse, word, choreo, sentence, precept of wisdom. It is also a verb meaning to speak. Finally, the name of the bee in the plural feminine, Deborah, signifies words, precepts. The bee was the symbol of royalty and of sacred inspiration. Honey represented initiation and wise discourses. The bee was consecrated to the kings of Egypt, and they were designated by it on they were designated by it on monuments, not only on account of the relation that might exist between the government of that people and bees, but also because their kings were initiates and governed by sacred inspiration, for they were priests. Now that's this man's account of it. And this, we know that they don't know everything. A lot of stuff they guess and trying to figure out. It was there because we have a, the queen bee is the queen bee for a reason. What are the odds that Deborah means bee? And that even when you take it to the Hebrew and when you look at the spelling, and then we even look at the shorten of her name, Debbie. We know in Ebonics in the hood, we say the, a lot. Debbie. So what are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? So here they're telling you, when you take those puzzle pieces, it's telling you that Deborah was a king of an obedient people, to where they went to her for judgment. And it tells you that he wouldn't go to battle unless Deborah was with him. Back under the matriarchy, the matriarchy is not the opposite of patriarchy. Matriarchy, they both have jobs. Patriarchy is women serve men. But under matriarchy, there's certain jobs and roles that were, attributed to the queen. And one of them was you could not go to war until the queen okayed it, because men were so rah-rah and full of testosterone. Even now today, we see they got to prove they self and all that to each other. That's that male stuff. Us as female, we are different species. They couldn't go fight unless the queen okayed it, unless the bee okayed it, which is why he would not go fight unless Deborah went with him. And we're going to stop right there, and we're going to take our break right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Kandakis of Kush and some other things. So I'm gonna stop right there. Before we take a break, anybody have something they want to say or add on or whatever to the information that we just discussed right now? Y'all have anything? Anybody have anything? Questions, comments?
Now, I even read this book, The Sibyls, a couple of years ago when I first got it, and sometime even go back and look at some stuff, in reference to something every now and again. But I mean, still, even right now, you breaking a whole lot of stuff down. I mean, it's even getting deeper than what I even, understood reading it and even going back in reference to it. You know what I mean?
I say good. That I'm happy to hear that. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing that, Sonia. Anybody else? Okay. Well, don't be shy now. All right. Well, it is 7:54 right now. So we're going to break until, let's come back at let's come back at 8:10. We're gonna be back here at 8:10. So y'all take your breaks, get your food, do all you want to do. If you drink coffee, get you some coffee. If you got drink wine, go pour you another glass, go make you another drink, do whatever that you do. And we will rendezvous here in what did I say, 8:10? Is that what I said? Yeah, at 8:10. All right, welcome back, everybody. Everybody back? Just chime and let me know you're back.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, okay. I always I don't never look at the chat. Let me go. That's a my okay, who's that? Patty Davenport. Okay, she's back. All right, good. Okay, well, we're gonna get back started. We're gonna talk about the Kandakis of Kush and then the Iyami Aj. We've already talked about the Sibyls, who they are in Herstory. We've talked about the Sibyls in the Bible, Deborah and Priscilla. And now we're going to talk about the Kandakis and the Iyami. Okay. We're going to go to this website. I felt like this one had some good information to start out on this subject. The Kandakis of Kush. Kandaki, also known as Candace. Yes, the name, I hear somebody is not on mute. So y'all check y'all's mutes. Because I hear somebody chewing. Also known as Candace. Yes, the name Candace comes from the title of Queen Mother in ancient Kush. So the Kandakis, also know, y'all know the C and the K are interchangeable. So you see, with the K, it's pronounced Kandaki. Also known as Candace or Kindaki or Kintaki, was the title for queens and queen mothers of ancient African kingdom of Kush, also known as Nubia and Ethiopia. They were known as Nubian warrior queens, queen regents, and ruling queen mothers. Queen regent means in royalty, you will have a queen, it'll either be a queen consort or queen regent. Consort means that they only got that title through marriage. Regent means that they have that title because they are of the blood lineage. So it's telling you right there that they were of the blood lineage. They didn't become queen mothers because they married a king. They were the royalty. They controlled what is now Ethiopia, Sudan, and parts of Egypt. They co-ruled Meroic. They co-ruled the Meroic with their brothers, not their husbands, with their brothers, not their husbands, because we talking about the actual bloodline. And in certain stories, you'll hear that, you know, that they intermarried into the family. That was to keep, when they did do that, that was to keep the royalty. I'm trying to see who. That was to keep somebody is not on mute. That was to keep the lineage pure. I'm trying. Okay, here it is. That's you, Miss Davenport. We're gonna mute you though. There we go. Okay. It says they co-ruled with Meroitic with their brothers, not their husbands, a trait of matrilineal societies. They were buried with rich treasure in their own pyramids, Reliefs date about to 170 BC. Now remember Christianity and all of that, you know, AD. We talking about 170 BC. Release dated about 170 BC reveal Kandaki Shanakdaketo dressed in armor and wielding a spear in battle. She did not rule as queen regent or queen mother, but as a fully independent ruler. Her husband was her consort. So it wasn't, see, and when they twisted stuff, Same way they got us going with these fathers' last names and stuff. When they twisted stuff, you know, they would have the queen would be a queen by most of them were by consort, you know, or in rare cases when there was no male to take over the throne after patriarchy, then she would take a husband and he would be king. And under patriarchy, you know, it was put as if the emphasis was put on him as king, not as her as being the true lineage. It says she did not rule as queen regent or queen mother, but as a fully independent ruler. Her husband was a consort. Release found in the ruins of buildings, projects she commissioned. Shanakdak Keto is portrayed both alone as well as with her husband and son, who would inherit the throne by her passing. You see the power, you know what I mean, that was with the matrilineal, you know, bloodlines. One of the most well-known Kandakis was Iyami Shaketo, known for defeating the Roman invasion of Nubia by Augustus and subsequently brokering a favorable peace treaty. She did that. She did that. It says one of the most, okay. Wait, did I? Oh, I think I did that. Okay. Okay, it says conclusion, the Kandakis or Candaces serve as examples for women as powerful figures or clever strategists in their role as queens, as warrior queens, or as romantic figures. They have had great appeal in times past and will continue to do so in this present era of feminist or humanist interest in the subject. So, you know, this again, another thing that lie that we were fed, you know, was that, you know, it was the power was with the kings or the royalties, that she has always been the power behind the throne, you know, and the throne. The Kandakis of Kush, a few of them, and you can find these names and timelines. You can find it on Google. Just Google it. I believe Wikipedia has it. No, you're not supposed to reference Wikipedia, but they got some true information. But Shanakdak, the one who is talking about in here, she was the earliest known ruling queen. She ruled from 177 BC to 155 BC. So for 22 years, she had the throne. Amani Reinas, she ruled from 40 BC to 10 BC. So for 30 years, she had the throne. Why didn't we learn about any of these? When they want to talk about Black history, why did they just teach us this slavery stuff? Because if they taught you your true history, and then even deeper, your true herstory, then you would aspire to be more than whores and prostitutes and video vixens and all the cheerleaders and all these different things that they try, these slim categories that they try to place us in as Black people. We have Iyami Shaketo. She ruled from 10 BC to 1 AD. We have Nawi Demak. She's either early in the 1st century BC or 1st century AD. Amani Torre, she ruled from 1st century AD to 20 AD. Now we in AD times. So after Christ, we still got these women ruling. Amani Tadakide, she ruled from 22 AD to 41 AD, 19 years. Amani Katashan, she ruled from 62 AD to 85 AD. And Amani Pilade is another one. So we got these Kandakis that was ruling. We got these ancient African sibyls that created, you know, it told you that they created government and ritual and religious / spiritual, you know, things that they brought to the world and civilization. But all these women have been taken out of history and erased, you know, for nefarious purposes. I saw a sister, she posted the other day a video, and it was saying, you know, if you think that, you know, when it comes to Black man, Black woman, yeah, you know, we have, you know, Black people against white people. Black men are supposed to stand with Black women. But now when we put it with black man and black woman, you know, and here's another black man, and one of the black men has to choose, do I side with or help my brother or my sister? And the sister was like, in her video, she was like, you best believe that majority of men will side with their gender before they side with you. And that's so very true. I've seen it on this side of spirituality, you know, even so-called men who called themselves, you know, this and this and that to the black woman. But when when the mothers sin, you know, that life event, and you're called on it, we see who you really stand with, you know. And now we know why it's like that. It ain't nothing new under the sun, as they say. Like my grandma and them used to say, just quote unquote, new niggas doing it. And that's so true. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that they did back then is what we see them doing now. Where is my part 2? Okay, there we go. We see them doing now. Here, what we're looking at here, this is in Naka. You see this right here? You see this is a male. And I got another picture of it. But you see this, you see these hips? That is a woman standing there holding the sword, you know, with one arm up and one down. That's a woman. We're gonna go and look a little bit closer with a better photo. Here, it's in black and white, but it's giving you the depiction of what it looked like before the time, you know, erosion and all of that. You see that breast right there? You see that nipple? You see them hips of a wide woman? That's a woman. Why is she standing there with a sword in her hand? Clearly, she's a warrior. This is actually the depiction of Imani Reynes, the Kandaki Imani Reynes, carved in stone, still there today. This is Imani Reynes as well. You see these titties? You see that? That's black woman all day long. We've seen some, I'm pretty sure y'all seen the people, the lies that these so-called scientists and archaeologists put out because they want to further hide who we are. Oh, well, they only painted them as they only painted them with colors. It wasn't to show skin color, it was to show class. Bullshit. Stop. No, that is not so. Okay, well, what do you have to say about the depictions of these wide hip women? You know, even when we talk about, when we look at the Hottentot Venus, Sarah Bartman, you know, if you don't know about her, Google her and look her up. That woman traveled all around the world. They was amazed at how big her butt was. And even the statue and the depiction of her, it's a big butt woman with big breasts, you know. Becky's are shaped like this today because they can pay for it, but this is not the figure of a Caucasian woman. These are not the features of Caucasian people. That is an ancient African Kandaki who ruled and was so powerful and so great that they had to give credence and reverence to her, to where they put her image in stone. Had to be powerful. Had to have done great things. There's a better depiction of that picture right there. It says here, the Kandakis of Meroe were first described through the Greek geographer Strabo account of the one-eyed Candace. So he has an account talking about the one-eyed Candace in 23 BCE. There are at least 10 regnant Meroitic queens during the 500 years, at least 10, during the 500 years between 260 BCE and 320 CE, and at least 6 during the 140 periods between 60 BC and 80 AD. The iconographic portrayal of the Meroic queens depicts them as women, often alone. Why? Even today, you know, women like us, I'm sure if I took a head count of the women in here and asked how many are single, if you truly devoted to this, you know, You've gotten into relationships, but especially the more you travel down this spiritual path, it's like the more alone you find yourself. Why? Because the image, when they took the mothers, out of their place, and when they demonized and all of this, and, tried to make the woman subservient and told you to be a lady was to serve a man and was to do this and all of that, they demonized the warrior-minded Black woman. Even still today, we're called angry Black women. I said in one of my podcasts, you damn right I'm angry. I should be angry. I'm angry at the dysfunction. I'm angry at what my brothers and my fathers and my husbands did to us in ancient times. Hell yeah, I'm angry. And you should be too. I don't take that. They mean it in a certain way, but I take it as a compliment. That means that I'm a warrior, and I was reborn of those who wasn't for, the bull crap. It says in ceremonies, the king is accompanied by a female member of his family, a mother, and a wife. And the king's mother played an essential role in the legitimacy of her son as king. During the Kushite 25th dynasty, the office that is known as God's wife of Amun was established. So in the 25th dynasty, they established this office called God's wife of Amun. The royal women in this role acted as the primary contact with the Kushite god Amun. So at the time, the god Amun, I actually have that tattooed in hieroglyph on the back of my arm. Amun or Amen, they created this title, God's wife. God's wife. So if that's God's wife, then that means that wife is equal. So if there's a heavenly father and he has a wife, then that in turn tells you that there is a heavenly mother as well. It says the role women in this role, so those who held the title as God's wife of Amun, they acted as the primary contact with the Kushite god. Same way I just told you, it just told you that Deborah, she sat as a judge over Israel. She dwelled between Ramah and the palm. Well, when you get the symbolism of that, it tells it basically what that's saying is that she was an intercessor. She was the one who went to the astral plane, who went to the heavenlies on behalf of the people. So that's the role of this title when it says she was the primary contact. Same way in Christianity back in the day, they told you that to enter, only the priests could enter the Holy of Holies. What is the Holy of Holies? Well, in just three-dimensional thinking, in that aspect, we talk about the place in the temple where the Spirit of God actually dwelled. They're saying only the priests, the priestess, but way before that spiritual system came along, we have that role being played by the one who had the title of God's wife of Amun. Clarifying what I just told, not clarifying, confirming and reiterating what we were talking about as regards to the roles of the Sibyls. They were the only true voice of God on earth. There was no spiritual ceremony that was valid unless it was presided over by a Black woman, by an African Sibyl. If you do, even and today, now that still stands. If there's any spiritual work done and an African woman was not present to give birth to the ashe that makes it so, then it is not so, period. Our roles didn't change. Our power, our position didn't change. They just hid it. It tells you that they played a decisive role in the ascension to the throne. So God's wife was the one who decided who sat on the throne, was the one who decided who was king. So all of this stuff, sisters, it was our duty. It was out. Now, when you think about that and you think about how they done changed the book, women ain't to speak in church. The head of the woman is the man, and all this other reverse, flat out anti-Christ, when you know what Christ truly is, anti-Christ teachings. Even when you take the word Christianity and split it in half and then reverse it, it's anti-Christi or anti-Christ. Christi is Christ in Latin. So this modern day Christianity is the direct opposite of what even this person that they told you to call Jesus, what he practiced. that allowed him to ascend to the title of Son of God. All of these were titles. They were titles. I'm looking for this one part of my note that I had. Okay, well, never mind. We're gonna move on. It'll come back to me in a second. So yes, those are the Kandakis of Kush. Now we're going to talk about the Iyami Aj, which, as you all know, my organization is called House of Iyami Aj. So who were the Iyami Aj? Let me see. The next one. Yeah. Okay. In prehistoric times, in early historic periods of human development, religions existed in which people revered their supreme creator as female. The great goddess, also called the divine ancestress, was worshipped as far back as the Upper Paleolithic period, which is about 25,000 BC, not 100, 25,000 BC. Not 7,000 BC, as has previously believed by archaeologists and scholars based on archaeological evidence. So they initially put it at 7,000 BC, but it goes back even further. It goes all the way back to 25,000 BC. They have artifacts. They have evidence that the image of God was worshipped as a woman for many thousands of years before it even switched to a man. It was a woman long before it was a man. The last goddess temples were closed about 500 AD. So that's when they began, doing all these things, and the usurping came, and then the switch and the patriarchal and all of that. And then, we know what followed after. We live in that today. But the last temples were closed around 500 AD. Little has been written about the female deities who were worshipped in the most ancient periods of human existence. Even the information that exists today has been altered. We know that for deceptive purposes, and then flat out erased. Most of the information and artifacts concerning the vast female religion, which flourished for thousands of years before the advent of the classical age of Greece, Judaism, and Christianity, was dug out the ground after the Second World War. So the information, they just are, a lot of these artifacts, they have just recently unearthed them, after the Second World War, that soon ago. It is these more recent excavations which have changed our view of our most ancient history. So when they did find these certain things, there was no more, it is found, and the right people found them to where they didn't hide what they found. So now this knowledge and this information is coming out, about the mothers, and we're slowly, and as the information and the knowledge is coming out and being unsuppressed, so is it also being unsuppressed within us spiritually. This is why the awakening of the Black woman is going on. This is why all of you are on that path today, because as these things are dug up, the energy from them has been resurrected as well. And that energy goes out to find the temples that it's supposed to reside in. And those temples are the bodies and flesh of us. This is why we woke up. Historically, they tried to erase the name of the mother who created all things. The sacred womb in the center of the universe is called Iyami Ayenorugbo. And that sacred womb is still creating from the darkness, and it will always give birth to new things. Always. Now, the Iyami, Iya means mother. Y'all see why I'm called Iya Afrika, Mother Africa. Me means me, and Aj is translated as you could say it's as witch. Now, with the demonization of everything, that word witch, it became a disrespectful term, same way to basically to be a Black woman, was something frowned upon, after all of these things happen and the usurping and the selling of the mothers and all of that. But, and when we think about African spirituality, everybody's heard the term witch doctor. They were called witch doctors for a reason, because they knew what plant could heal you physically, as well for physical ailments, as well as for spiritual ailments. So they're called witch doctors. This is what the great mothers, the Iyami Aj are. So when it says house of Iyami Aj, house of my great mother witches, these, and if you think about the Sibyls, what they were, prophecies, oracles, healing, all of that stuff that today is attributed to quote unquote magic, or even sometimes quote unquote witchcraft. But it was the science of our great mothers that was demonized. It says in Africa, women of power controlled the land back in the day. This is from the Yoruba perception, or the Nigerian coming out of Nigeria. Iyami Aj, that's the Yoruba language. The Yoruba language is the language of the native tongue of the people of Nigeria, which is also my bloodline. In Africa, women of power controlled the land because of their relationship to Mother Earth. They controlled the marketplace. Even right now, if you Google Aj, it's not going to tell you it means witch. It's going to tell you it means economy. Why? Because they controlled the marketplace, by extension, and thus commerce and trade. Same way, if we think about what is most of the way that we get things, in commerce and trade, shipping. And when we think about those of us who know this consciousness thing in regards to law, we have maritime law, or the law of the seas, totally different from the law of the land. But since they control commerce and trade, women determined the kingship and were on the councils of justice, like they told you a Sibyl. So these are, we're looking at what's said about Iyami Aj and what's said about the Sibyl. Same thing. These are the mothers continuing to be reborn, continuing to come back to do a work, to leave the science to us, and all these different things. When it comes to we talk about other races taking our stuff and all of that, yeah, they did. But at the same time, even that was a part of the divine plan, because in order to preserve the science, the mothers had to give it to somebody. And if we as Black people weren't free to practice openly our ancient traditions, they had to put it somewhere. This is why those Catholic saints, all those white faces, you see those white saints are really an Orisha. It's a white face on a Black god. They hid it to preserve it. And in the day and age that we're living in now, we no longer have to hide. I mean, we see, people, they still look down upon it, but more so even like now, it's like a fad to be a witch. Like everybody want to be a witch, like you, and everybody ain't, half of them ain't even real ones, because it's in the blood. It's passed down through the matriarchal lineages, just like being a Sibyl, being an Aj, or being a witch. It's passed down through the mother's bloodline. Now, it can be your father's mother's bloodline, but it's passed down through the mother's bloodline. And the males, they're called Oso, O-S-O. They too got it from their mother's bloodline. It could have been their father's mother's, but it came from the matriarchal bloodline. It says that women determined the kingship and were on councils of justice. They were also psychic protections against threats. They had their own secret societies and were not controlled by men. It's no surprise why women would be a threat to colonialists or Islamic and Christians who wanted to control the economics of African countries and take over the land. It was advantageous to many men, Black and white, for women to have less influence. Like I said, they sided with the papacy. They basically teamed up with the white man and they conspired against themselves. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring these women down and it's gonna be a day where men rule. And so when the patriarchy, when the priests gave up the secrets and sold the mothers out, they realized that they had got tricked and they got sold into slavery too. And that's why you got the papacy, the abomination that makes desolate, sitting on the throne of the great mothers today. So it says that where did I stop? Black men, Black and white, for women to have less influence. So it was often supported and ultimately enforced by many kings. As the colonialists made contact and converted kings who would influence the villages and people, the politics of the countries influenced traditionalists and converts alike, destabilizing and stripping women of much of their power. The issue wasn't just about changing public opinion of women. It was about the active enactment and enforcement of new laws. Y'all, they actually created laws that specifically forbid women of specific rights, roles, and practices they once had. Islam, having over 800 years of influence in Nigeria and Africa, was just as ferocious about women and quote unquote witches as Christians were, demanding immediate execution of those who were accused of the evil eye. These laws did not come at once, but came gradually and over time. Waves of change and political suppression of Iyami happened from the 1600s to the mid-20th century, producing a gradual destabilization of women's political and spiritual power. These laws made it necessary for Iyami to go underground, and any women associated with practicing the ancient ways were subject to death, humiliation, stoning, and beheading. We've all heard of the Salem witch trials. And if you really know the story, you know, it was the quote unquote slave woman Tituba who was said to have taught the white women that. That goes back to what I just said. You know, they had to give it to somebody because they weren't free to practice it. In order for it to be preserved, for us to come across it today, those of us who are the descendants of these women, you know, they had to give it to somebody in order to preserve it. They had to give it to somebody. The significantly reduced number of women, this significantly reduced the number of women practicing and hid the rest from the community to never be spoken of. Well, of course, you're going around beheading and humiliating and stoning, you know, these type of women, yeah, it's gonna make a lot less people practice. Or even if you still practice it, you had to go underground, which we know there's still, like I said, there's still hints of that today. You still, in a certain sense, got to be careful, you know, how you speak of what it is that you are, or they want you to be careful, I should say. It says the masquerades that were originally performed by women were only performed by men who dressed up like women to appease the Iyami primordial mothers. I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna enlighten you on something. Now, we got Tyler Perry as Medea. We got oh God, yeah, you can think of others, but whether it's black men or whether it's white men, you know, we said, oh, we hear people say, oh, the Illuminati got them dressing like women and all of this, and the only way they can get big is if they go with that gay stuff and all. You've heard all the talk. No, what that is is what I just read you. They'll never tell you that, because then they have to tell you why they got to dress up like a woman to appease Iyami. Because in order to operate on certain levels, to get to certain higher places, you have to honor the divine African feminine. You have to. So it tells you the masquerades that were originally performed by women, they had to be performed by women, were then only performed by men who dressed up like women to appease the Iyami primordial waters. Islam took over a number of Nigerian towns such as Oyo, Ibadan, Oshogbo, and others, which eventually became the pool taken away as slaves to the diaspora, with the beginning accompanying views on women in Iyami. So when people talk about, for those who talk about, oh, Islam, you know, they practice Islam in Africa, Islam, you tell them, Islam has only been around for about 800 years, and it too was forced upon our ancient ancestors. It too, any black woman who knows this truth, period, whether they know it or not, but especially those who know this truth, should never call themselves a Christian, should never call themselves a Muslim, because those spiritual systems are what was erected on the graves and the backs of our foremothers. They didn't come around until they usurped the true religion. Y'all remember that brand of clothes, True Religion? This is the true religion. None of them None of them. So when they talk about Islam, well, I don't give a damn what they practice now today. I don't even care what they practiced 400 years ago. And even when we look at how Islam was started, you know, and they prophet and the 9-year-old girl and all that, I'm not trying to practice nothing that allows a man to penetrate, to have her. They say he didn't penetrate until he was 12. Oh, she was 12. Oh, well, period. You know, it's just, no, all of that stuff didn't come around until they forced our ancient mothers underground. None of it. It says, because of this need to go underground, a lot of Iyami understanding became riddled in myth and fear, but also gave the assumption that there is no formal society of women and no spiritual tools of Iyami. Gave the assumption, but there are. It simply would not serve men for women to know that they have so much power, so much that a woman can render any work powerless with just her mind, let alone using tools. Just your mind. Now let's go back to this Kevin Samuels. What did he teach? There was even a thing that said, quit your jobs and find you a man. What? Do what? That's the most backwards patriarchal crap. He didn't want you to know you had the power. I just want men to feel appreciated by Black women. What? You either don't know your herstory or you flat out to deceive. You know, flat out to deceive. You know, when you truly know who you are, and any woman that has an inkling of who she was did not rock with that man. You know, or if you present today and you did, after all you've learned tonight, you know, and then think about his message, you know, about placing the Black man and serving the Black man. It's a bunch of patriarchal stuff that's been going on. He gave nothing new. He gave nothing new. Women were once considered holy. Women were once considered holy in the sense that ancient man saw a woman's ability to birth and create. The womb in the center of the universe is called Iyami Iyenorugbo. It is to her that we owe all existence as we know it. From her comes all human and divine consciousness. She is the source of all matter and all things spiritual. When goddess worship was forbidden and her worship was persecuted, likewise were women debased and their respect lessened. Her image and duties went from being healers, oracles, and judges to just property, punching bags, and spiritual slaves. And this brought about many wars. So when we talk about the Iyami or the Aj, well, what are the Aj? Well, first of all, there are different types of Aj, and we're going to talk about that. It says Iyami o Shoronga is the foundation of everything. Types of Iyami Aj or witches, according to Ifa spirituality, there are 3 types of Iyami Aj energy available in the world. They are Aj Dudu, Dudu means black, Aj Pupa means red, and Aj Funfun means white. So you got black witches, red witches, and white witches. We're going to talk about which or which. No pun intended. Okay, it says Aj Dudu, black witches are usually not a progressive one. They have mysterious power. They can only punish or make human beings suffer, like causing their victims to delay marriage, infertility, lack of promotion in work and business, causing their victims to get sick. The members of the Aj Dudu are predominantly female. Hardly can you find any male amongst them. They spread their initiation easily than other types of Iyami. Well, of course, we know that because there's plenty of people running out here wanting to be an evil, bad witch, you know, or with what they do, they're black. There are a lot of blacks out here. Then we have the Aj Pupa. These witches are most dangerous. They have power to kill. They drink blood, they eat flesh, they punish their victims and give no room for forgiveness, even up to their own children. Their membership is both mixture of female and male, but with female membership domination. They don't initiate members easily. Then we have the Aj Funfun, the white witch. These witches are very good witches. They don't kill, they don't drink blood or eat flesh. They use their energy to protect to bring protection and blessings and prosperity to whomever they love, like children, husband, family, or friends. They bring knowledge, power, blessings, and protections, and it is very difficult to get initiated to them. I am an IJ Foon Foon. I'm white, you know, and like I told y'all, you know, it's not easy to come into this house, you know, for women or men. More difficult for men, but even for women, because when you think about it, it's not very many who truly have a heart of righteousness. You know, it's not very many. So those are the three types of witches. Even in the movie Wizard of Oz, if you think back to that, for those of you seen it, I'm finding out that there are people who actually ain't never seen the Wizard of Oz at my age or older. But in the movie, they had the Wicked Witch of the East and they had Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, they had the East, the West. One, Dorothy killed the sister of the Wicked Witch of the, was it West? Well, she killed the sister of one, but so there was a total of three types of witches. You had Glinda, the good witch. What did she wear? She had on white. Then you had the evil, the green one, you know, with the green face. What did she wear? She wore black. So then the one who Dorothy House killed, that by default was IJ Poopa. So when we see here, it says red witches are the most dangerous, but let's not be mistaken. IJ Foon Foon, the only thing a white witch has to do is to keep operating in her calling, to keep walking on the stage, on the path of righteousness, and all her enemies will fall. And although she doesn't have the power to kill, that don't mean that life ain't taken on her behalf. The mothers step in and do it for them. If she's disrespected or wronged in such a way to where the mothers feel death is warranted, it's not in her to call down death, you know, but that don't mean that you won't lose your life messing with her, especially because she's righteous. You know, Christianity says, touch not my prophet and do my anointed one no harm. Well, we know what the true prophets and prophetesses are. So the one who's walking righteous, the one who's doing the work of the Most High and really do, you bet not. I've seen it happen with me, you know, with those who call themselves enemies of me. It's only a matter of time. I don't got to do nothing. I don't got to work anything against you. All I got to do is continue to do the work of my mothers who sent me. And you will be another stepping stone that I step over to get to the mission, to get the mission to the destination. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about before we end that, some of the lies that we were told, you know, and how it's in direct opposition, and it was strategically placed in there to keep us away from our power. Now we know in the Bible when it talks about Eve ate the apple and all of that, and that they tell us that our menstruation is a curse. That is not so. Actually, as women like us, IJ, prophetess, whatever you want to call it, we are most powerful when we are menstruating, because what menstruation, I mean, I'm not talking about the anatomy and physiology of it, but spiritually, what menstruation is, because the blood is the power. The blood is where creation begins. The blood is the life. So it is believed that, and there's a story in Orisha Pataki, let's see if I can find it in this manual real quick, that tells you about how Olodumare, the supreme god, and how a woman came about menstruating from the aspect of Ifa culture. Yes, here it goes right here. But it's when we are our most powerful. It says many women are being told by their elders that when they are in those days, they can't even look at their Orisha. Or in Christianity, you know, you're unclean woman, and there's other religions that at that time you can't even, I think in Islam you can't even come to the temple or something like that. But it says they can't even look at their Orisha, but nothing could be further from the truth. It says, and the story is called Olodumare's blessing upon women. It says, in the beginning of civilization, men and women worked together side by side. There was balance. Then the great shift happened, and men began to think women were inferior. For this reason, the women rebelled. There then ensued a power struggle. Women refused sex, and there was no procreation. Olodumare called the leader of the men and the leader of the women, which the leader of the women is Iyami Alakankanikan. Olodumare said Olodumare would resolve this problem. So Olodumare put her breath into 2 boxes with a beautiful bow and gave one to each, the lead of the male and the lead of the female, and sent them out to their respective homes. The man put the box on a table and went to sleep, forgetting about it. The woman, they told the story about Pandora's box. The woman, that's how they changed it. The woman found the box enticing and wondered what was inside. Curiosity got the best of her and she opened the box. Suddenly a wind entered her body immediately, and they were in the presence of Olodumare, or Supreme God. The woman was fearful. She thought what she did was wrong, but Olodumare said, "You have taken a giant step and put your gender ahead of the rest of the world. You will bleed because you now have my ashe, or power, inside of you. No mortal is strong enough to hold my ashe for long, except for the feminine gender. With this blessing, I give you the gift of creating life, sustaining it, and the power of the word, or the Ofo Ashe." So that's a Pataki, like I said, nothing could be further from the truth. They want us to believe, to be ashamed of menstruation and to believe that, we shouldn't do this or we shouldn't do. Why? Because they wanted to suppress your power, because even not being on your cycle, you got power, but especially exponentially more so, when you are. So, that's one of the lies that they fed us. So as you go about, in y'all's respective paths and doing the work that you do and all of that, just know that. And I'm not saying, that we see all kind of stuff out there. I've seen sisters, and not necessarily sisters who've learned from white women. They use their period blood for this and all that. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about knowing the aspect that when you're on your cycle, reprogram yourself. You're not unclean. In fact, you're the most powerful. In fact, that's a blessing and not a curse. Christianity taught you that it was a curse. But when you take it back to African spirituality and the ancient ways of our mothers and the true quote unquote religion, it is a blessing and not a curse. So that's all that I have for Iyami. Somebody had asked me on one of the posts if I could put some books that I recommend. So I put together a few titles of a few pictures of some books that I recommend. First one, this one right here, A Timeless Dynasty. And all of these books are in reference to knowing who you are and the divine feminine energy. This is a book that I wrote, I authored. I'm currently in the process of writing book 2. A very powerful book. I have gotten so many, high accolades on it. And everybody talks about it feeling like it was enchanted. Which when I finished writing it and, what I did with it and the spiritual intention and the ritual even that I did over it with what I wanted to see, I got that back, and there was things that I wrote in that book as fiction that happened after I wrote it that was actually national news, and stuff that you can go find out. And there are a lot of things that, although when I wrote it, I thought I was writing fiction, but come to find out that these things did happen. There's a lot of things in that book that actually happened to me, and even I'm going to put more so in book 2, so much so that you can't tell everybody that you've been through certain things without them first knowing that you're not crazy. So A Timeless Dynasty by Afrika Ma'at Ra. You can get an autograph copy directly from me if you'd like, or it can be purchased from my publisher. So if y'all want to get that, y'all can reach out to me. Another book that I authored, this is a poetry book, 720 Degrees of Rhyme. It has a lot of cryptic and in-depth knowledge woven into it. The backstory on it is that it's a poetry book. There are 16 poems in it. They all can stand alone individually, but together they tell a story. And the story is the process of awakening. But again, like I said, it's a lot in there. I put a lot into that body of work, as well as the first one. And then this one, Iyami Osoronga. Before I go on to this one, this book, 720 and A Timeless Dynasty, and then this Universal Law one. This is not something that I wrote. but it's something that I compiled. It's a publication of House of Iyami Aja's, the 105 Universal Laws and the 12 Layers of DNA. We have 12 layers of DNA, y'all, not just 2. This book, like I said, it's a publication of House of Iyami Aj information that I compiled for learning and educational purposes. Now, this Universal Law is $25. The poetry book is $10, and then the Timeless Dynasty is $20. So that's $20. 45, that's $55. But if you would like to purchase all 3, just for those in this class only, if you would like to purchase all 3 of those, I will let you get all 3 of them for $40. So you save $15 by buying them all together. This Universal Law book, everybody needs that, especially if you're on this path, as an IJ. You need to learn universal law so you'll know how to move. And you'll understand a lot that has happened to you thus far, and it'll show you how to move, guide you into how to move in the future, so that you're not violating law, universal law. The Bible talks about obey the laws of the land. That wasn't talking about the Constitution. That was talking about universal law, because universal law is the law that governs the land. Maritime law is the law that governs the land. So again, you have those 3, regularly $55. You can get them for $40. Iyami Osoranga. This is it's a kind of advanced book. It gives you the history, of the African woman, just like the Sibyls. They all are going to have the same beginning, because that's what happened. Everybody ain't telling the same lie. That's what happened. This Queen Mother, Chief Iyanifa Iyalode Fagbe Meleke Fatumise. She is actually no longer with us. She has transitioned. She got a lot of controversy when she was writing this book. A lot of priests and stuff did not want her to write it, did not want her to publish it. After she published it, she died, I think, months after. Now, there was some controversy. Some people say that some priests and priestesses conspired together to kill her because of the things that she put in that book that she wasn't supposed to. And then on another note, you'll hear that it was her time to go. That's the work that she came to do. She came to give us this body of work, and that's what she came to do. So it's a beautiful book. There's a lot of information in there. There's prayers in there. One of the prayers that I read tonight comes directly from this book. So you can get it on Amazon. I think it's about $20, $25. People have them outrageous prices that they be putting, but don't pay no more than $20, $25 for it. And of course, y'all know, y'all done seen this book. I don't really have to talk about it, because I talked about it so much. The Sibyl's book, First Prophetess of Mami Wata, The Theft of African Prophecy by the Catholic Church. This read, as well as Iyami Osoranga and some other books that I'm not mentioning tonight because they're just far advanced, but all of these are required reading material for residents of House of Iyami Aj, because the information in there is just very transformative and valuable to a person who's on this path. So those are the books that I recommend that are definitely need to be purchased. You're going to get a lot out of it, and you'll not just to read them, to study their study pieces. And at this time, I'm just going to go over shortly for those who may feel like, now I feel like we're in church. Those who feel like, that they may want to, join House of Iyami Aj in some type of affiliation. You would like to further your studies with us, to know what it is that we're about, how we're set up. So I'm going to give y'all a bit of information on that. And then we're going to go into questions and comments and just discussion and building, and then we'll be done. So House of Iyami Aj, our mission statement: we exist to obliterate the psychological chains that have been purposely fitted to the heads of African male and female born in the diaspora. We strive to eradicate spiritual poverty by imparting divine inspiration, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to this nation of souls who have lost their cultural way. Our charge is to embody and shine a most brilliant light, which bypasses flesh and penetrates the soul, to divinely reconstruct the DNA of our sisters and brothers across the world and throughout time. We have levels of different types of quote unquote membership. We have residents, like I told y'all earlier, we have some of our official residents that are here with us tonight. Sonia, Katrina, and Brother Knowledge. They are residents. Residents pays dues of $75 a month. They have done, there's actually paperwork and everything that's done, you know, online with that. That's you officially enrolling. House of Iyami is not just an online thing. We are classified with the IRS as a church type organization. We are not a 501c3 organization. We are funded privately. The funding that comes in is what, you know, I, as the house mother, as the founding root mother, siphon this way. I'm not 501c3 certified, because when you are, they can tell you how to function and what you can and can't say, and we free over here. So we're not 501c3 certified. They've done all their paperwork. They have access to the Google Classroom platform. Google Classroom has is an actual classroom. It has lessons and quizzes and exams for a person who really wants to learn some of the information. I'm not even going to say a lot. Some of the information that I discussed tonight, it comes from the lessons that are in the classroom, but there's way more there that I couldn't possibly have fit into this class. So they have access to Google Classroom. These are the perks. They've purchased the house manual. I'll show it to y'all once I get off the screen share. They get discounts on products and services. They provided their monthly donations are current. They get discount on all workshops. They get monthly private building sessions with me on the phone, one-on-one, once a month. We have a private building session to learn and all of that. Access to in-house teaching, in-house only teachings. I have some things that I podcast and information that I only share with residents. Access to house library. I have a house library that has books on magic going back to the year 1200. I have a very extensive house library. Anything you want to know about Egypt and Kemet and these secret society and all this, I got it all. They serve in the capacity of maintenance of the house. So there, if you are a resident, you know, you serve in the capacity and you serve in the house in some way or another to assist in the maintenance and ongoing and upkeep of the house. They have access to Google, I said that twice, Google Classroom material, access to spiritual readings. I do spiritual readings. I don't make my spiritual reading. I don't just, I'm not just available to the public like that. That's not how I move. I read residents and I I don't offer, but I allow them to have readings, residents and members and some friends of the house. They have access to monthly temple service. Temple service is something that will be starting here in the House of Iyami come June the 10th. Every second and fourth Saturday, we're going to have like temple service, like, you know, church service in a certain sense. Well, you'll be, I'll be discussing certain things, but what we'll be discussing the most is I'll be teaching or unteaching Christianity, I should say, and teaching the metaphysics and spirituals, things that are hidden in the Bible. That's what temple service will uncover. Okay, so those are all the perks and responsibilities of a resident. Then we have members. Members are people who, it says /son/daughter. These are people who are not ready to be residents fully, but they would like me to be their spiritual mother or their spiritual guide. These people make donations of at least $50 in the form of either donations, or you can purchase $50 worth of products a month. They occasionally purchase products and services. They get monthly building time with me as well. And they have access to the temple services, and they occasionally promote house products and services. Then we have friends of the house. These are people who they just at the very beginning of their journey. They don't even understand what they would be doing. If they said they want to be a resident, they just not there, but they are at the beginning of the path. So these people, they commit to at least to be called and named as a friend of the house. They commit to at least one product purchase a month. To support the mission of House of Iyami, and they have access to some house services. Like I said, at times they have access to reading certain people, and these are people that follow the teachings of House of Iyami. So if you're interested in some level of affiliation, you can either contact me if you're my friend on one of these platforms, or you can go to our website, houseofiyamiaj.org/contact, and fill out the form at the bottom of the page, and we will get back with you. So, oh yeah, I did have one more thing that I wanted to show y'all that I skipped over. So I'm going to play this video. This is from the aspect of the Yoruba spiritual system of Ifa, the people of Nigeria. This is a story about Oshun. Oshun is the goddess of love. She owns the fresh waters. Honey is sacred to her. Bees are sacred to her. And cinnamon is sacred to her. But this is a story about her that all should know about. She's very important. Oh, wait.
Within the sacred orature of the Yoruba diaspora, we have an amazing story called Osheotura. Okay. And in Osheotura, what happens is all these deities come down from the heavenly realm onto the planet Earth, right? And the dominant ones, the ones who are doing the most are Obatala, the Lord of the white, the king of the white cloth, the Lord of the clouds, the one who molds the child in the womb and sets the ethical standards. We have Ogun, who is the tool maker and the wild man in the woods. And we have Shango, who is the Lord of the flame and political organization and the ego of the human being. And they come down with Oshun, who is the goddess of love and sweet water and sensuality and compassion and all of that. And in the folklore, when they start out trying to create the world, one of the male deities makes some comment to the effect that they really don't need Oshun. Okay. And she's very sensitive to insult, by the way, So Oshun decides, oh, well, you'll see. And she goes and she sits on the moon and spends time looking in the mirror and powdering her face, And while she does that, all the sweet water on the earth dries up. And they can't do nothing. They can't build no houses. They can't make no tools. They can't grow no food. They can't create nothing. Nothing is working because love has left the planet. Okay. And when they realize that nothing is working, they run back up to Olodumare, the one who owns the whole spectrum of the rainbow, the owner of the day. And they complain, what you sent us down here for if we can't accomplish nothing, right? And Olodumare says, somebody's missing from this crew that I sent down there. Where is Oshun? And the comment was made, well, who needs her? And that's when Olodumare summons Oshun from her resting place where she's just, kicking back, waiting for them to recognize what's happening. When she arrives, she explains that they insulted her. They were stupid enough to think they didn't need fresh water. They didn't need sensuality. They didn't need love. And so the Most High makes them apologize to her, okay? And I love this part, in the Odu, it says she accepted their apology and she told them, don't let it happen again, okay? And as a result of that, she had to decide whether she wanted to be bothered again. And so she turned herself on herself and gave birth to Elegbad. Now, I want to say very, very clearly that Osheotura is a very, very important story in my tradition. All of the stories we see when they hit the tray, when they arrive in front of us, we look for the manifestation of the story around us. To have Oshun leave us is a very, very dangerous thing, okay? And we see it in things like fracking. What's happening to our water supply? We see it in things like the way that they are raping the queen bee. Honey is sacred to Oshun. We see it in the sex trafficking of children that's going on this planet. All of these things we read as signs that we done pissed Oshun off. Okay. And so for the last 10 or 12 years, there have been priests all over the world going to the river, going to places where the river's dry and making offerings and begging Oshun to come back to us. All of this is about wanting to recognize the power of the divine feminine.
I say, to have Oshun leave us is a very, very dangerous thing. As they said, nothing flourishes without, try to make it without water. Try to make it without Oshun. So that's all that I have. I'd like to thank you, sisters, for joining us. If anybody have any, I haven't been able to look at these chats. So if anybody has any questions or comments, want to talk about some revelations or some dots that you were able to connect tonight with some information that was shared here, or if you just want to share something, the floor is now open for that. So anybody?
I have something to say.
Yes, ma'am, Miss Katrina.
Well, what I was going to say is that, it's just like, as they say, when you read the scriptures per se, you learn something new, or you see something that you have never seen, or something else pops out at you. Or so for me, that has what happened tonight. So I learned something new that I thought I had learned from you previously. So I just feel kind of blessed to see a different perspective tonight than what I had learned the first class. So I appreciate you. And another thing is I wanted to say is that you're such a giving spirit, and I appreciate you. And we all know that your time is valuable. And for you to do this class for us, I feel honored to be a part of this class, and that I would like to extend a love offering for you, for your time and your wisdom. And if anyone else feel compelled to do so, I'm going to put the information in the chat room. But you are worthy, and we thank you for your time and all your efforts. So thank you for tonight. And I'm looking forward to more.
I say, sis, you got me on the look. Now you're gonna have these. We know in class I be talking like, no, baby, cry. Y'all gonna blow my evil cover now. The world needs to think I'm evil.
Oh, it's just your eyes just sweating. You're fine.
That's it. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you just so much, just your heart, your mind, and I appreciate everything and anything that you do, and I'm honored to have you in the house. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. I say, I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited just to even have you sisters here. Like it's just, y'all may be honored, but I'm honored that I listen to all of you guys talk and and I get that people I get that a lot. Like people say the same thing about me. Oh, it's her energy, or it's something about her. I don't know. I feel like I can tell you anything. And to even hear that, I'm honored. And I always say, the art in arts and craft, for me, it's an acronym, ART. It stands for always remain teachable. I don't care how much knowledge you have. Wisdom teaches you to always remain teachable, and that keeps you humble. So no matter what I know, there's an African proverb that says a wise man knows he knows nothing. Only fools know everything. But to be able to be a conduit or a vessel for the mothers to give this information to through. And with what all you guys say about me, I appreciate it and I'm honored. But I know that it's truly the energy of them drawing you guys through me. And I'm just honored to be, the one chosen to reach you ladies. So thank you. Does anybody else have anything they would like to say, add or anything?
Yes, I do.
Go
This
ahead,
is
Jay.
Jay from Ashea More. I just wanted to say thank you so much. This is such a confirmation for me, because everything that each and every one of you young ladies, including yourself, has expressed today has been something that I've been dealing with, and I can't wait to learn more. I feel like I'm in the exact right place with the exact right people at the exact right time. Like the way my body has been tingling since you started talking and the confirmations. And I'm thinking of sigils, and I'm looking at the sigils on my wall, and I'm like, no vowels. And I'm like, I'm putting things together, and I'm like, everything's moving so fast. I'm so excited. And I had to sit and I had to breathe. And I was like, can I trust this? Can I trust? And then you said that. And then you said I'm teachable, and that's something that I preach to myself, something that I demonstrate to my mentees, and it's something that I look forward to having in mentors. So you just definitely just made my entire existence tonight, and I look forward to learning more. Definitely.
Aw. Thank you, sister. Thank you for sharing that. See, I'm not. I'm not. I ain't gonna do it. Y'all don't understand. It's just, I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, it's Dimitri.
Okay.
I just want to say I appreciate you. I appreciate your efforts. It takes a lot of energy to pour out. And though I'm not in that place just yet, just pouring back into you and just giving it all back to you. Your efforts, your time, your knowledge. They were just like what Jay said. I just feel connected. Like this is it. I've been searching, trying to find a house, a mentor, a godmother, and like instantly when I saw you on TikTok, I was just like wow, there's just this connection. And he was talking, about Nigeria and Benin. Those are also my ancestry, and it's like very prominent and strong. And so when I, just meeting and not face to face or personal, but there just seemed like there's just a strong connection. And I just want to thank you for your time, and you will definitely be hearing from me.
Ashe. Thank you, sister. Thank you very much for being here tonight. I'm honored. Appreciate your energy being amongst us. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. I love your name, Kemetric, right? Kemetric?
Yes, ma'am. Kemetric.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just see that Kemet, and me being Africa, it's like,
yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
I was trying to get what, Mother Mary?
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mother, for this time. I'm thankful to the mothers that I persevered long enough to begin to see this resurgence, this reawakening. I was watching that movie, Bruce Almighty, early this morning, and most of us don't understand. Most of the men that you meet in your life and on your path and on the journey, we have no clue how deep the betrayal runs. And if you watch Bruce Almighty as a man, you'll be looking at that other man as if you were not complicit with that other man. The power that was bestowed and given to the God figure in the film, we know where it came from. And what did he do with it? So now, this other man who was making mockery of this other man, he gave him power for 7 days. And look at the perversion and the utter chaos that he caused in 7 days. Not hundreds of years, 7 days.
Mm.
And when he went to look for this divine figure that was set in the seat, he didn't recognize him because he was supposed to be working. He was supposed to be of service. So when he saw him, he was in service. This is how he was able to sit in the seat that he sat in, to be able to bestow the power, because he was working. He wasn't sitting, he was working. So when you work for that divine force, when you are in tune with that divine force and you're working, they're working with you.
Sure.
And this is from the one who received the greatest chastisement for disobedience at times, the conflict. So the fact that your intuition guided you here to seek this, you're not like everybody else that's around you, male or female. So this is a one-on-one experience that I want to share for those, whatever capacity, your connection to this particular house, because you could have gone anywhere and everywhere, because as my mother said, this is out. And it looks shiny and it looks rosy and it's comfortable now and it is palatable to you even to say witch out of your mouth and not make a cross over your body or over your head or go in the closet. It becomes a palatable type of conversation. So in the midst of that, it could be hard to distinguish the real from the fake. But if you remember this movie that I'm talking about, the dutiful ones could be found doing their work. And I watched my mother work, and I seen the ones come and go. They said that they were interested. They were interested in meeting God, but they were not willing to do the work.
Mm.
They would ridicule God. They would talk crazy to God, but they were interested in meeting God for other reasons. However, they wanted to meet God and they wanted the power of God, but they was not willing to do the work.
Come on.
So here, in whatever capacity, whatever the connection is intuitively to this process is designed to transform you from the inside out, but it begins and ends with you and your commitment to the work and not being distracted or dismayed by what you may see. So let's not make the mistake of Bruce Almighty and looking at God in the face and not being able to recognize her for who she truly is. So that's all I wanted to say, Mama. I'm going to go back on mute if I get whooped, okay? I love y'all. I'm proud of y'all. I'm happy for y'all. I'm excited to be of service because I am your protector. Thank you, Mama.
I say thank you. So yeah, I'm proud. Y'all see why he here? Like, I'm proud, and like he said, it was a bumpy road. I'm surprised he didn't say his first time. He ain't talked about how I had to beat him, because he always said, she beat me, and I did. No.
Yes, ma'am. I earned it.
I'm just, even I Bruce Almighty is one of my favorite movies, and I believe I mentioned that movie in the class in our workshop, the other workshop that we have, but I never saw it in that light. The black man gave the power of God to the white man, but how did he get it? And like he said, we didn't even realize that the black man was complicit, like that. Thank you for that, for sharing that, brother. Now, I have never, and it's crazy. See, that's why I remain humble. That's why I said always, I just said it, always remain teachable. You know, I use the analogy of I may be in 12th grade, you may be in 3rd grade. We're talking about spiritually. But you got perfect attendance in 3rd grade. You was there every day. I missed a few days in 3rd grade. So you in 3rd grade on this path, you can still teach me something, you know. Out of the mouths of babes come wisdom. That's spiritual babes too, you know. But thank you, Brother Knowledge, for sharing that. Like that. That was powerful. I had an aha moment, and I don't get too many of them. So I'm like, I've seen that movie so many times. I love Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty, you know. But thank you so much. I appreciate, you know, you walking with us. I know some of the sisters said in our private workshop, you know, that they were excited to have that male perspective amongst us, because we do need it. And there needs to be a meeting of the minds, you know, and once all things have come to pass and things have been healed, you know, we're going to need brothers like you who have the strength, who have the knowledge, wisdom, and testicular fortitude to be able to stand up to your brother if he does not honor, to be able to teach your brother when he's ready to learn, and your sons, and any women who may come across your path, no matter what state she may be in when you meet her, to still honor her as the mother of all creation. You know, Tupac said, even as a crack fiend, mama, you always was a black queen, mama. I felt that, you know, I felt that. Appreciate you, brother. We need more like you. Anybody else want to share anything or have anything to say? Let me help you. I think you're trying to unmute yourself, Tammy. There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I just had some questions. You know, everybody else was. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. So when you were talking earlier about the menses and the power of the menses and stuff like that, then immediately the question popped up. Well, what about sex on your menses? Is that?
No, that's now. Let me put it like this. Doing that would be considered a type of ritual. And same way, the process of anal sex is actually a type of ritual to take somebody's soul, but that's a whole nother thing. But when you have sex with someone on your cycle, that binds you to them in a whole different way, because now we have the blood involved. You know, it's not something that I recommend. It's not something that I do in regards to, and you'll hear people talking about sex magic and all of that out here when half of them don't even understand what that is or what that, you know, really means. But it would create a different type of bond with a person. And at that time, you know, in the beginning, you may think that you want that type of bond with that person till you really see that person's true colors. And then you don't want that type of bond with that person, but you realize it's harder to break because you've bonded with that person on your cycle. So that's my stance on that. And was your second question, was you going to ask about menopause?
No. I should. Now, you know, you be in my head and I got all kind of stuff written down up here. I mean, because you everything I have on this paper, you just then went and snatched it and talked about it. And it's like, what do I have left to ask? But I have one that, okay, it was something about past lives.
Okay.
Can a person recall past lives? And if they can, how do you do that?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And you'll see, like I said, they got all this stuff as a fad now. You'll see people that do past life regression and let me do, you know, this kind of reading for you and that kind of reading for you. I have a different page that I made with a white girl's face so I can watch the person who's acting like they me because they got me blocked. And in doing so, I just did this today. Some girl came to me. I went and friended a couple of people. The person I got as my page is they supposed to be a tarot reader. Well, here come this person. Oh, I noticed your energy and it's so bright in your pictures. It's a picture of a little white girl just to further throw it off so that person acting like me won't know that it's me. But your energy is so this and no that, and and I could do a reading for you. I do this type and I do that type, and yes, I do charge for them. And let me know if you would like to. I'm sitting up here, I'm like, if I didn't know you was fake, Becky, I really know you fake now, because that person in that picture ain't even me, But when it comes to and she was talking about past life something. Yes, you can remember. We remember in the form of dreams. Some dreams are you dreaming the future. Some dreams are memories from past lives, because dreams come from the subconscious mind, which the subconscious mind is connected to what's called the Akashic records. The Akashic records is a layer of those 12 layers of DNA, and it's basically the soul's memory. Now, Tammy is Tammy right now, and this body is called Tammy. But the soul who lives in that body probably got a different name. And that soul has lived many lifetimes. So when it comes to the subconscious mind and the Akashic records, this is the memory of the soul. So tapping into those memories, we tap into those memories in dreams. We tap into those memories in deja vu moments. I did this before. But you've never did it in this. That's because and a lot of times when that happens, you're at a moment to where this is a life lesson. This is something that maybe you made the wrong decision in the last life, or this is just something that lines up with, something that happened in the last life. But yes, we do. I've recalled even today reading about, talking to y'all, giving this lesson, one of the Kandakis, I know that was me. Even another Hatshepsut, the queen who was king. She had 2 daughters. She was married to Tutmosis III. I got 2 daughters, and the only man who I had married in his life was named Thomas. Thomas is Tutmos. That's where that name comes from. So there's little things that will align that you'll have memories of, like cognitive, conscious memories. And then there's certain things that, like I said, dreams and stuff. You may have different dreams. Dreams are astral travel incidents, and they're also recollections of events from past lives. So yes. Now, as far as somebody hypnosis and things like that, yes, there are ways, in professional settings to tap into the subconscious mind, and hypnosis and things like that are real. It's a science. It is real. It's tapping into the subconscious mind and the Akashic records, the soul that you are. So yeah, it is possible, and it does happen. But before you go let somebody hypnotize you, like, you got to really trust that person, because you are giving them access to your subconscious mind, and they can put anything there they want to and take out as well. So
okay. So then see, you got my little wheels clicking and turning. So then, like, in this scenario, if someone were to enter a state like of hypnosis, would the person that is doing the hypnosis then have access to that person's Akashic record?
Yes, that's what they tap into.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they tap into. This rabbit hole goes deep. Shay. Thank you, Sister Tammy, for asking those questions. Let me say this though. I asked about the menstruation because menopause, because I realized I neglected to mention that. We talked about women being the strongest when they're on their cycle, but even more so when a woman, some people, would think, oh, well, I don't have cycles anymore. IJ doesn't fully come until your fullness of your power don't come till about between 35 and 45. But and an older witch is called a crone. She's somebody that's probably, on her way to being 50 or so. Crones are real powerful. I mean, young women have power too, but it ain't nothing like the older ones who are 40 plus, and then the ones who have gone through menopause, with the story that I told y'all about Olodumare and shedding the power once a month. What that means is that they have risen to a level, they've come to an age and a state of mind and of wisdom to where they no longer have to shed the power of Olodumare out. They can keep that energy within them. So they no longer shed blood. So a woman who has reached menopause, that's even another state of graduation, as an IJ, because you don't have to shed out your creative power and the power of Olodumare. How it's said that the female gender is the only gender that can handle that. And then even deeper, the elder female is the only female that can handle it and not have to shed it out. So women who had menopause or whatever don't, the world, same thing, just say they got your shame of your period. They want to talk about menopause being something a woman should be ashamed of. Not at all. Don't let them play with your minds anymore, So, Jay, I saw that you was trying to chime in.
Yes, I did have a question. I on my spiritual journey, I'm struggling with. I think I'm trying to remember, but a part of me is blocking the memory, and I'm starting to feel, and I'm feeling that blockage, and I want to know what is your take on that, or what is something that I could do more of to release, because I've been doing my shadow work. I've been, just staying within myself, doing my introspection, taking time listening to my body and praying and staying connected. But I feel like there's something else that's blocking, like I feel it, but I'm not sure how to remove it, and I want to. And that's why I also feel like this alignment with your Zoom today was actually on point, if any of that makes sense.
Okay, you said trying to remember. Now, what are you trying to remember?
I think I want to say
past
I'm
lives.
remembering.
I'm sorry. Talking about past lives, or
Yes.
Hold on,
more like soul name.
More like soulmates. So let me see.
No, soul name.
Soul
like my
name.
soul name. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever done any type of spiritual cleansings?
Not professionally done, but I have done on myself.
Okay. Yeah, there's probably something with that, and once you know that, like, that you've cleaned yourself and you've done certain things, and you're still having the issue, it's just a matter of spirit. All things will happen when they're supposed to happen. Now, sometimes there are things that you have to do to get yourself in alignment, in a position, and when you like they say, after you've done all you can, just stand or just wait. You know what I mean? But you probably, I feel like you probably need some, a good spiritual bath and some cleansing, and just some resetting of some energies, maybe a little work that'll clear some things away. If you like, we can have a conversation about that privately. I don't want to go too deep into what I'm seeing and feeling, but just on the surface, that you probably need some cleaning up. I tell people, yes, ma'am, no problem. In regards to spiritual baths, if you've never had one, you think about it like, or you think the way, the energy that you feel, that's normal, and it is, because you've never cleaned yourself. You've been walking around with these energies thinking that it's a part of your aura when it's really not. Same way you can take a bath and sit in a house that you've just cleaned and mopped and everything. You take a bath, and then at the end of the day, oh, that's my daughter. She just got off of work, y'all. She missed it, but she's coming in right now. And this is my firstborn that's just joining us right here. But you could sit in the house and, spick and span, you just cleaned and bleached and mopped and everything, take a bath and sit there. And at the end of the day, when you go take a bath, you're still going to be able to find dirt on that towel, even though you didn't go anywhere. It's the same thing spiritually. Same way we pick up dirt physically, we pick up spiritual junk too, with the places that we go, with the people who we're around. If we don't know how to protect ourselves in certain ways, going to hospitals, hospital, that's a portal, death and birth all day, every day. There's certain things when you go to certain places, there's certain things that you need to do so that you don't take energies home with you that don't belong to you, that are not assigned to you, that are not your spirit guides. And like I said, if you've never cleaned yourself, the right way, you're at the point, you don't quite know how to put your finger on it. You just know that there's something there that's keeping you from it, and it could very well be an energy that you've picked up that's blocking you. And in order to remove it from your aura, you need to bathe in certain type of herbal baths. But if that's something that you want to discuss further, like I said, you can holler at me and we'll talk about it a bit deeper.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You will be hearing from me. Thank you so much.
Okay, sis, no problem. All right, anybody else have anything else to say? I'm the type, I like to give everybody a chance. I ain't gonna cut it off until the last person everybody got answered and everybody good, then if not, don't think that you gotta rush. If you wanna know something, if you got something to say, please, by all means, the floor is open. Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, again, I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for showing up tonight, for staying, for sharing, for, if nothing else, just bringing your energy, to the table so that we can come together and learn. It's beautiful energy. I'm happy that all were present came. My desire, my wish is that, all of us could continue from this point on. I know that everybody are in different places, but my door is open. The door of the house is open. Like I said, again, if you feel like you want some level of affiliation, you can hit up the website, houseofiyamiij.org/contact, and we'll get that going for you. This is something, this type of workshop, I think this is something, and it's not in stone yet, but this exact teaching with the herstory of the mothers only, I think this is something that I'm going to start doing twice a year. It'll be the same information, but just to be able to give Black women their true herstory, to show you, to teach you about who you are. So if you guys know people that may have missed it this time, just look out and stay posted to my TikTok, my Facebook. I'm Afrika on Facebook. You can follow me. IG, I think I am Afrika, but I'll be posting about it, and get ready to do this again. I'm not one to where I look at quantity. I prefer quality over quantity, and the women who were present tonight, you all you sisters seem to be, you feel like quality sisters who are truly serious and focused on your spiritual growth. And I'm just honored to be amongst you. Until we meet again, I just want to say, hold your head high, Black woman. Walk like you own this earth. You switch your hips like everybody is jealous of you. Hold your head high like the whole world worships you, because they do. It says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. But when you know that you God, Black woman, you walk like you own this whole planet and then some, because you do. So I love y'all. Again, thank you for coming. I receive all the positive energy, and I extend the same to you guys. May the mothers continue to guide you and protect you and keep you and elevate you. And most of all, may they ever assist in your growth spiritually and prosper you beyond your imagination. Ashe.
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 Okay. Bye-bye.